Good evening, good evening, or not evening. Look, I'm so used to doing Sunday Night Lives. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Give me 1 second. Okay, how is everyone doing this evening? Welcome to the My Daily Quick Craft with Royce. I'm going live every day in the month of January. I'm hoping that my lives will kickstart your creativity for 2026. Because we're doing a quick craft, I say quick, it's been about an hour now. So I'm not going to say a time, but I will do a craft from start to finish every day with you guys in the month of January. So hopefully you will join me. But in order for me to be able to make it through, I cannot have the comments on. So I can't see comments. However, if you're on Facebook, I can go back to your comments and look at them. Unfortunately, the other programs, I haven't figured out how to go back to see the comments that occur when I'm live. So if you have like a burning question, wait until the live is over and drop it in the comments, and I'll circle back to answer your question. Okay. So we've been working on popcorn tins for the last couple of days, and we're doing the last one tonight. This was our stack of cans that we started with, were these three. So far, we've done the larger can is the one that we finished, and that one um, we used the Roycycled printer's blocks decoupage paper to decoupage the bottom, and we used milk paint to paint and distress the top. And I really do love the way that this one came out, right? This one, I would say it's my favorite, but I'm going to lie to you. I think they're all my favorite. So this is what we did from that one. So can you believe this was like a popcorn tin that had Santa on it, and now it's something that's perfectly industrial, which is perfect for my own aesthetic. And there's a dent in the can, but I just decoupage right over that because I think it lends to the idea that these are vintage cans. The second can that we used was this one. This was the second largest one, and this is the one that we did yesterday. And legitimately, I do think that this one is my favorite. And so this is how it came out. I love this so much. And so we use the Roycycled Labels Masterboard decoupage paper on this one. We put a label on the top, and we also put another one on the side, and we used some milk paint and painted and distressed the can. So I love the way that this one came out. It really does look like something that I would pull out of a barn when I go picking. And so for today, the can that we're starting with is, did I upload the picture? Oh, I did not. Let me see. I think I forgot. Oh man. Okay, I apologize. My intention was to upload a picture of the small one, but we'll go back to the stack, and you guys can see the can there on the top is kind of a really kind of a bright colored Christmas can, and so we are going to be working with that can today. And the reason I'm showing you a photo is because I have taken the liberty of prepping the can for the sake of time today. So all I did was paint this with some white primer on the bottom because we're going to be decoupaging the bottom. And then I did spray paint the lid using just some black Rust-Oleum spray paint because I wanted to be able to do like a rustic paint finish on the lid. And I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have like pink stripes showing through that. But I didn't want to use white because we're probably going to use dark colors on this lid. So for what color paper I'm going to use today, I have a few things pulled out that I'm considering. The first one is the Roycycled Map decoupage paper. And I really love the idea of this one being on the top can. It's like a smaller scale topography that I could add to this. That would be really nice. And I don't know. I don't know. I do feel like this specific paper A lot of the richness reads really kind of on the red side. And so I don't know if it's going to drive well with what we've done already. And then my other one that I thought I was sure about choosing, this is the Roycycled like coffee stack decoupage paper. And I love the idea of using this typography around the can. And I'm also that'll also give us the opportunity to add some texture. And there's a little bit of green on this specific coffee stack, just a little bit. And we've already used a little bit of green in our stack. So I think that this would be perfect. But while I was like messing around, I found a piece of really old recycled decoupage paper. This has not been available for a few years now, but I really do love this, and I think it would be perfect in my living room. So my retailers are going to kill me, but I think I'm going to use this paper. You guys don't kill me. I'm sure there are some retailers who may still have this in stock, but it hasn't been available for a couple of years now. But I just feel like it's so perfect with our stack as it is right now, that I'm compelled to use it. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can upload a picture of our stack so that we can all look at it together. Will it let me go in here if it's live? I think so. I'm sorry, you guys. Give me 1 second. I thought I had uploaded um, these things already, but I guess I hadn't. I want us to look at the stack together so we can make a decision. Okay. So here is a good picture of the can. So this is the can that we're working on right now. Um, but I've already prepped it so it doesn't look like that anymore, right? So this is our stack as it is right now. And so when I look at this stack, I feel like this paper would be perfect because we really don't have any kind of pattern or anything on the stack. Um, Either of these would work though, because this would work really well too. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with the African print. So I'm going to go with the paper that is retired. I am so sorry. Um, if you are ever looking for a design that is retired and that is not readily available, I do have a group on Facebook. It's called Roycycled Upcycling with Decoupage. And if you go in that group, you can put a post that you're looking for a specific design, and the retailers are in there. So somebody will let you know if they have it. So I am going to use this paper because it's just too perfect not to use it. And so we're going to decoupage our bottom because we've already prepped it. And this one's going to be interesting because we're going to have to work around this little, there's like a handle on this one, and you have this little silver divot here on the side. So we're going to have to figure out how to work around that, which honestly is not difficult, but I'm kind of happy that'll be something we can focus on today, is working around, you know, if you have something on a sheet. Did I just go with this one? I'm still undecided. My problem is I saw this one so clearly before I picked up the African print. So let me put it on here the way I thought it would look good, and I can make a final decision about what I want to do. Because that would have looked really nice too. Like just having that typography there. Oh, now I'm back to this one. This one reads a little red too. Maybe this one needs to go with the map. Maybe I'll do another step and I'll use this one with the map and then a third design. Okay, so we're sticking with this one. And also I need some more darkness because that the second can we didn't turn out as dark as I thought it would. And this is going to help tie into the first can a little bit better. So I am just going to do like a rough measurement of where, I think if I cut right along here, I don't know, I should be okay. So because this one's patterned, I can kind of see exactly where I need to cut. And if you are new to my page, my name is Roycycled Bell, and I am the founder, owner, and operator of Roycycled Treasures. My goal is to encourage you guys to create. And whether you're creating for your heart, for your home, or even for your business, we have courses, products, and plenty of inspiration to help you along your journey. So I'm just going to rough cut this because I don't want to fight with all this extra paper. Sometimes when people talk to me about how they decoupage, your process has more to do with your paper being wrinkled than anything else. So if you're like wrestling with a whole bunch of extra paper while you're trying to decoupage, you're just setting yourself up to have difficulties. And we do not want to do that. And the one thing about decoupaging a cylinder is that you want to make sure that your paper is straight. So I'm going to use the straight edge side of my paper and line it up with the lip on this can. And that's going to really help me ensure that my paper is straight all the way around. Because if I put it on crooked, then what can happen is you get to the other side and you have like a gap, right? Because your paper is going to go around kind of slanted. So it's always nice to find like a landmark on your piece and to use that to help to guide your paper all the way around so that that doesn't happen. And I also have a little bit of extra paper so that if by chance I do get off a little bit, I still have full coverage. And I'm just dry fitting this to make sure that it's going to be right. Okay, you guys see what's happening here? That's weird. So let me start from this side and see what happens. I could also use this lip. Let's try that. Oh, but it's right next to this thing. I think that's what's happening. My paper is going around this and it's skewing it. And so I think I'm going to ignore the fact that it's reading crooked because I think it's just going around this. So we're going to use this bottom lip and then we're going to hope that that is right. I am going to line my paper up with this seam because it just makes sense to have the seam go with the can. And we'll just do like this. So I'm leaving a little bit on this side and a little bit on this side till I have a little bit of margin of error on either side. And I think that I'm going to be fine. So for a project like this, we usually talk about starting an anchor row. And it's super important on this one that I'm going to have that anchor row because once I decide how the paper is going to be lined up so that it's straight, it's really important that it stays that way all the way around. And so by doing the anchor row, I'm going to prevent my paper skewing either way once I get started. And I keep forgetting to bring out a container for my top coat. Today, I'm going to be using, so products we're going to be using today is the Roycycled decoupage paper. I'm going to be decoupaging with a water-based matte sealer, top coat, varnish. It's all the same, right? And then for the top, I honestly haven't made up my mind wholly about the top. I loved what we did yesterday, having the color peek through, but I do want my top to be darker. So I think I'm going to do a base coat of the milk paint, but I'm going to go over the top with my chalk paint because the chalk paint is darker. I also pulled out some black wax as opposed to brown wax. So I'm not sure if I'm going to try the dark milk paint and just use black wax. I don't know what I'm going to do. So that's why I have it. I don't know. We'll see. And I always go back and put a description and a list of supplies on the video once I'm done on YouTube. So I'm just going to use my mat here, I guess, because I don't have a container. Not optimum, but it's fine. And I'm going to start my first row and get it tacked down so that I know my paper is not going to adjust and leave me with a paper that's going in the wrong direction or that's skewed so that it's going to not wrap around my can appropriately. This handle is going to drive me to drinking. Y'all pray for me. I want to make sure this is adhered really well. The one thing about the misting method, which is what I'm doing, I mist my paper because it makes the paper fibers relax and your paper stretches out. So then when you put your decoupage medium on, it doesn't respond to the moisture of the medium, and so you don't get wrinkles. But when you're using the misting method, your paper doesn't adhere as readily to your surface before it dries, and you may need to use a little bit of extra decoupage medium as well. So I'm going to dry this because I want to make sure that this anchor row is really tacked down on here really well so that my paper doesn't shift as I work my way around the can. And normally I don't do this, but because we're working with a cylinder, it's just extra important that this anchor row keeps us going in the right direction. And you could leave yourself a little bit more paper and not cut it as close, and then you don't have to worry about it as much. That's also an option. Yesterday, I think it was Vic, she posted like, what do you do with these cans once you make them? And I feel like you could do all kinds of things depending on the size of the can. I literally have a stack of hat boxes in my living room, and they're kind of in a corner, and they're used as like a giant riser. And I have a mannequin head that sits on top of them. And so I'm using the three kind of as a giant riser in that space, but inside of each of them, I have really old family photos. So it's something that I don't pull out very often, so I don't need to get to it readily, but they are stored safely, in those hat boxes. And seeing hat boxes on Pinterest is kind of what led me down this bit of a rabbit hole with my popcorn tins, because I don't have any hat boxes, but I have these tins. So these will go in another part of my living room, and they'll act as a giant riser, and I'll put something on top of them. And I'll store something inside of them that I don't need to get to every day, but I want to have stored safely. Honestly, more than likely, it's going to be some ephemera, like some paper that I store in the big one. And I don't know what'll go in this one. We will see. And you guys will notice how I am spraying my paper as I go. I can spray all of this paper, it will be fine, but it's just going to dry back up, right, by the time I get to it. And so I'm just rubbing my hands, making sure that, and I'm not working out any wrinkles. I'm just wanting to make sure that I have good contact with the surface so that the paper is tacked down really well. And I'm going to continue my way around the can. When I'm laying down my medium, I want to make sure that I get coverage over everything. And I'm going to go right up to this thing because we're going to have to, actually, I don't even want to get that close. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to approach that. If I have an area on the can where there isn't any product, what will happen is I'll have a bubble after everything dries. Or I want to make sure that I even get an even coat of product everywhere, because if there's somewhere where there's not a lot of product or enough, I won't see a bubble right away. But what can happen is, like, I don't know, a month or so down the road, especially if you're somewhere where the weather varies significantly from day to day, or you have a lot of humidity, that freaking bubble will show up. So we don't want to deal with that madness. I'm just going to miss the part of the paper that I'm laying down. And you guys see what's happening here? My paper is skewing a little bit. So I'm going to have to eat and make an adjustment. And so I'm going to have a wrinkle right here, but I'm going to live with it. I'd rather have a little wrinkle right here than to have a white ledge on the bottom. So I have this little piece right here. I wish I wouldn't have misted that paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a slit right here in my paper from here all the way to right under this so that I can decoupage around that piece. And my paper is wet and my scissors are not the sharpest. Let me see if I can get a sharper pair. This works out better if you use, if you do it with your paper while it's dry. But we are going to make it work. And I think I cut it a little bit too early too. It's okay. Okay. So now I'm just going to go right around this piece. And I'll save this piece and we'll decoupage it over the top. Put that right there. It's like we're doing surgery over here, huh? Okay, so I'm going to decoupage this down and then we'll come back and add that piece in a little bit. So, and you guys see that was completely imperfect, right? But we are going to make it work. And when we're done, nobody will ever know. Make sure I get a nice layer of medium. You guys will notice I'm misting my paper. Motorcycle goes by every day. He must be riding to work or something. I'm misting my paper, but I'm not like saturating it, right? I just want to add enough moisture so that I can get those fibers to stretch out because this is tissue paper, right? We're working with wet tissue paper, so we don't want to wet it too much. And if you are new to Roycycled, the Roycycled decoupage paper, this is not like the tissue paper you use when you're wrapping gifts. And it's certainly thicker than a napkin when you decoupage with a napkin, which is why you have like the versatility to be able to reposition it and to even spray it before you decoupage because it's going to be strong enough for that. But it's still tissue. So when you put it on your surface, it still virtually disappears, which is what we love about using tissue paper for decoupage, right? And if you caught me today, I will be live every day around 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the month of January. I want to jumpstart our creativity for the year. So I'm meeting you here. If you guys want to schedule this as like a co-creating space where we meet here every day and you can create while I'm creating, that would be super fun. And if you guys are on YouTube, I know if you're on YouTube and you're not on Facebook, it can be hard to engage with, as a community. But if you look on the top of my YouTube channel, you'll see that there is a tab there for, I don't know why I put my medium all the way past this. There's a tab that says communities. If you click on that, it'll take you to a feed. And there I'll be posting pictures of projects as we finish them. And I think I'll also start putting other posts that I put in my other spaces too. So like I do a permission slip periodically on my Facebook page. I'll start putting those over on YouTube as well. And who knows what else will happen. I don't know. But I want to make sure that I have an opportunity to engage with everyone, even if you're not on YouTube. I mean, even if you're not on Facebook. And I believe you guys can post too. So if you finished a project that was inspired by something that you learned with Roycycled, I would love to see it. So I'm here again, like I'm at my crossroads again. I kind of liked doing 2 snips. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to snip this side. And it's important that I go all the way to the bottom of the actual, the thing we're trying to go around. I don't know what to call that. And then, because usually I just do like one snip. We'll do it the way I usually do it. So that way you guys will have two ways to approach it. So I just did one slit on this one, and I'm just going to decoupage around here. So you guys saw me cut with the piece out there, and then we'll do it this way on this one. That way you guys will have two examples. So I'm going to add in my decoupage medium. And again, I'm being pretty generous. I don't want to leave like a pool of product though, because then you get like weird ripples under your paper. So I am just putting down a nice flat layer. I don't have any pools, but I am being generous with the product that I'm laying down. And I'm using a water-based varnish, but you can absolutely use, if you have acrylic-based mediums on your craft table, you can use like a matte medium or a gloss medium to decoupage with. You have like maybe chalk-based or, como se dice, clay-based paint on your table and you're using water-based top coats, you guys can use that to both adhere and to seal your papers. And if you're someone who has craft paints and Mod Podge, you can absolutely use that to decoupage as well. I will say with the Mod Podge, it can be a little tacky. And I mean like, you know, tacky, which sometimes make it harder if you need to like reposition your paper. So you can just water it down just a little bit. And that can help with that so that you don't have that tackiness. Now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to like make a slit right here and make another one on this side. And I'm holding my scissors right above this little round thing that's on here. And this is normally how I do it when I don't mess up. And then that way I'm able to lay that paper down and go right around that piece. My paper did tear on the bottom right there, but it's okay. We're going to fix that with a little paint. So whether you're cutting a notch out or you're just doing a slit and working around, those are two ways that you can kind of address having to get around something that might be on the surface that you're decoupaging. So let's go back to this one and we're going to add our little piece back on here. Let me make sure I get it on there the right way. And I'm trying to match my pattern here so that it's not detectable. Oh, Lord. And I'm probably going to have to go in with some paint to fix this mess I made. But, you know, it's all good. And I'm going to attach that and let all this dry before I come back in to try to fix that. And let me get this bottom flap attached. So on this one, the bottom is good, but I'm going to have to go in the top here. And I'll probably just match the paint color just like we did. I don't know if you guys watched my Sunday Night Live where we had a design that was smaller than our project. And so we had to mix colors to go in to blend the paper. Okay, I'll leave that alone and let it dry. I think I'm gonna leave all this. I'm gonna go ahead and top coat everything and then we'll set this aside and let it dry while we work on our lid. I prefer to really mess with trimming or cutting my paper after it's dry because the paper is less likely to tear. And so I can get it clean whether I'm trimming it with a sanding block or using, like at the bottom here, I'm going to have to use a blade to trim that, right? But the paper always cuts better or cleaner when it's dry. When it's wet, it's going to be more likely to tear when you try to cut it. And so your result is not going to be as clean. And you guys remember my wrinkle that I had to put so that my paper would go on straight? So I made a little bit of sacrifice, but it's going to be okay. I do think I'm going to trim this big old flap down so I don't end up having it stick to my piece. It's still dry. So I'm going to trim it. I'm not trimming it perfectly, but I'm just trimming off this extra paper so it doesn't end up sticking. And I'm only going to seal up. I'm not going to seal all the way under this paper because I know I want to trim some of that off. So, and I don't want that to stick. So I'm just going to trim it to here. I mean, I'm just going to seal it to here. Okie dokie. I am loving this so much. I think it's going to be perfect with our stack, right? So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry, and then we can work on the lid. Okay. Make sure I set that down right. Now let's look to our lid. I spray painted this because I want to do some distressing, and I don't want to have like pink stripes showing. So I spray painted this before we started. And I'm going to start with, I am in love with this color. I really, really am. I do feel like this might be a little dark. Like I want to have some, let's look at our stack again. So this is the stack as it is right now. And we have kind of the rusty color, and then we have the lighter color of the label that's there. And I don't want to have my top 10 be the same color rust as the bottom. I want to have some diversity in my stack. So I'm going to modify this color just a little bit. I'm going to go in, I'm going to add a little bit of, I have some white milk paint here. So I'm going to lighten this color. Oh, where are my spoons? Oh, you know, I took my my jar into the house to wash my brushes, but I did not wash my brushes. So I'm just gonna add that's a little bit too much white, I think. I'm gonna add a little bit of white. I just want to lighten this up a little bit so it's not the exact same color. And I'm also, this is gonna seem counterintuitive, but I'm going to add a little bit of the dark color we use on the second can, just because it's kind of a neutral color, and I want to neutralize. This color is kind of bright, and I want to neutralize it a little bit. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that gray into there, and my hope is that that's going to help me to neutralize it so it's not as bright. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a color that's similar to the color that we use on the bottom, but it's a little bit different. But because I'm using the same color that I use on the bottom, it'll still look cohesive. If you're ever working with a lot of different colors and you're not certain about how to make it look cohesive, a trick that you can use is, let's just say that I'm working with like red, orange, green, and blue, right? I can either take a little bit of that red and mix it into every other color. And that's going to help my colors be cohesive. Or I can take all those colors and mix it together. And then I can take that color and mix it into all of the other colors to make it cohesive. The second way if you mix all the colors together and then add that color to everything, you are going to end up with a more neutral palette. So just be mindful. Every time you mix two colors together, it neutralizes them or makes them less bright. And when you take that color where you've taken 4 colors and you mix it in with your colors, it is going to make them less bright. So just something to think about. A lot of times we agonize on whether or not things go together when we're painting, but we can be alchemists and we can make them go together. And I have some paint at the bottom, like powder, so I'm just like agitating it. I don't want to mix a whole thing of this color because this is our last 10 and we'll be going on to a completely different project tomorrow. I'm thinking I have this cabinet door here that is completely unfinished. So today I'm going to sand it down and go over it with a clear primer. And then tomorrow we'll create, I don't know if I'm going to do a tray. I'm thinking a tray, maybe a tray or just a piece of wall art using that upcycled door panel. This paint is really settled into the bottom of this jar, and I know that it's going to be enough to do what I need to do. I'm going to put a little bit more of white. I'm not satisfied with how light that looks yet. And when you're mixing your milk paint, you want to put equal parts powder and paint. I mean, powder and water. As a general rule, you can always mix it thicker if you want to. Okay, that's going to be better. So it's kind of the same color, but a little bit different. I'm sorry, you guys. It's just the powder is like really clinging to the bottom of this jar. Okay, I think that's good. So it's both light and it's less bright, but it's still kind of in the same family. So I think it's going to do exactly what I want. It is cold and rainy here today. Although I'm sure it's not cold to some of you. You would not consider it cold, but I'm a bit of a desert rat, so I'm cold today. While I'm drying this, I'm going to play a short video. If you guys will do me a favor and please watch it. And then after we come back, I'll give you guys some more information about it. If you've been craving time just for you, time to create, to breathe, to reconnect with who you are, I want to personally invite you to the 2026 Roycycled Besties Retreat. We're gathering in beautiful downtown Safford, Arizona for 3 days of creativity, connection, and rest. All your creative supplies are provided, breakfast and lunch are taken care of, and you'll even receive exclusive Roycycled retreat-only goodies. We are already over halfway full, so if your heart's been whispering maybe, this is your moment to say yes. Click the link to claim your seat. I would love to meet you here. If you guys are interested in coming and joining us in person for the retreat, we would love to have you. We're actually about 85% full right now, but we do have some seats available. This is the QR code for more information about the retreat. You guys, the price for the retreat includes your breakfast and lunch each day. It includes 2 drink tickets for the meet and greet Thursday night, all of the art supplies that you're going to need for the whole weekend. Inside your swag bag, you guys will have an event apron. You'll have, I'm going to be making a stencil just for the retreat. I'm also going to be designing a decoupage paper just for the retreat members. You won't be able to buy the paper outside of that. And you'll also have other supplies in your bag, including the launching of a new product from Roycycled, which I'm not telling you guys what it is, but everyone will get a free one when they come to the retreat. And I feel like the value of the retreat is more than the price that it is already. And then you get to meet in person in a room full of ladies um, who are like-minded. And the community that's created is just absolutely phenomenal. So I hope that you'll come and join us for our in-person retreat. I have some really good stuff planned for you guys this year. I cannot wait to share. We had some major breakthroughs last year, and I'm always moved when I go through my reviews and I hear what the ladies had to say about their experience. We had some people come last year, their first retreat they'd ever been to. We had some people who came who've been to lots of retreats, and I had one of my facilitators who's done retreats herself and has been to a lot of retreats, and she said that honestly, it was the best retreat she'd ever been to. So Jane Belante will always also be there at the retreat because I feel like I'm going to be pushing you guys kind of outside of your comfort zone. So we're not going to be creating the things that we always create. We're going to be pushing ourselves to learn new things and to actually do the new thing because we're going to be there together to cheer each other on and to give each other the courage to try. And Jane is there to kind of help us. Um, to get over ourselves, right? A lot of times when we have limitations in our growth, whether it's, creatively or just in our lives or professionally, we're usually the culprits, right? We get in our own way. And so Jane is really, really good at having us do exercises to help us move past those barriers so that we can experience the wholeness of what's being offered at the retreat. And it's in April, but I feel like it's tomorrow. And I'm having it here in my hometown, you guys. I love, love, love showing off my hometown. And those who were here last year will tell you guys that you are really hosted by everyone, not just myself. And that same weekend, we're having a spring festival. It's like a wine festival. There's music. We have wineries that are pouring tastings all day. This year, we're going to have a microbrewery that's going to be there. So you'll get to taste like different kinds of beers. And there are food trucks, like good food trucks that are there. So if you have a significant other who is going to be bringing you, there's stuff for them to do. And I actually create a landing page for my besties when they come to the retreat with like places to go, places to eat, things to do, so that your spouses or whoever may be bringing you, they can mosey around town while you're crafting. Or they can join us. That's fine too. And I am just drying this. I have one little crack right there, you guys. That's it. Oh, I have another one forming over here. I'm going to try to get it to crack a little bit more by laying down a little extra paint here and there, and we'll see what happens. And it's interesting. You guys remember I put that little bit of black in there? The black isn't really like mixing with the other pigments, like in an integrated and it's not integrating with it. It's just kind of coexisting beside it. And so it's a really interesting color. I don't know how to explain it because the pigments are really small, but when I put my paint down, I can see the black and I can see the other color. You want some cracks along the edges. So I'm going to go in and lay down a little bit more paint there. And Vicky told me to stop touching it yesterday, but I'm actually going to lay down some paint and touch it on purpose today, Vic, because I want to see. I mean, I liked those areas where the paint lifted off and see if I can recreate that. And again, my goal here is not to get like a really smooth finish, obviously. I want something that's going to look distressed and aged, like I found it somewhere. Ha! It did it. So when I touched it, it lifted off all the paint. So it went all the way back to the black layer. And I want to talk about this because, yesterday when I did this, it was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. But I wouldn't have made that accident, if I hadn't been like making something. Um, and I want to talk about how so often that magic thing that you see somebody doing in their creativity can be something that they initially did by mistake. But if you're watching, right, and you're not doing, you're never going to get a chance to make those mistakes. And so you're not going to be able to discover like your own creative process or techniques by just watching. You're learning and you're growing creatively is in the doing. So I want to encourage you guys to make time to create. whatever that looks like for you. Ooh, that's a big old chunk. I like that. Now I'm going to go over this with some black chalk paint, but I want to seal this first. So I'm going to go through and encourage any cracking that's happening here. And then I'm going to go over this. And the reason why I'm going over with, I don't know, because I don't know how the chalk paint is going to respond over the top of it. So I'm almost tempted to go in. You know what we'll do? I don't know how the chalk paint is going to respond with this, and I do have a very specific vision in my mind for what I want. So I think we'll just go ahead and use the dark milk paint that we used yesterday. Oh, wow. I may have to mix some more. But we will use black wax instead of brown. And then maybe I'll get the darkness that I want. And the paper is pretty dark, so that is bringing in some of that darkness as well. So I'm going to have to mix a little bit more to be able to get another 2 coats. And all my spoons are in my jar that I took in the house, so I don't have them. So this is a make it work moment. Oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing. I'm putting a little bit of water. Let's see if I can make it a little bit thicker. And we know from yesterday that we can count on our paint cracking wherever we have cracks underneath. Oh, I have an extra jar here. So I'm just mixing up some more. And I'm saying dark because it's one of those colors that's like almost black. It's not quite black. It's a really, really, really dark gray. And it's a cool gray too, which is why I think it looks so fabulous against this tone because this is warm. So we have this really kind of a cool dark gray color against the really warm rusty color here. And I have learned to take your time when you're mixing your milk paint. To help to work out any, little pieces of granules that might be in there. And it does kind of thicken a little bit when you wait. I probably used more milk paint this week than I've used my entire life. And I have to tell you guys that I love it. I'm already thinking of some finishes I want to create using milk paint. It's like each product has its own characteristics. And I'm gonna put a few, I want to get at least 2 coats of this down. And we'll distress back to that other color, kind of like we did yesterday. And again, I'm being super soft with my brush when I'm going over this. I'm not applying any pressure because I don't want to lift up that last layer of milk paint. And I did mix this a little bit thicker, so I might not need to do a second coat. Fabulous! Because we're not looking for full coverage anyways, right? We just want to get, I do want my final coat to be a full coat though. But I don't think I'm going to have to do a second one. So I did mix this a little thicker. So it's not running as quickly as it was yesterday. You know, remember how I was running really readily. And so I had like little drippy marks, which worked out for us, but it's not always what we want. It's raining here, so my hands are having a day. So if I'm moving a little slow, you guys, please look over me. Okay. Oh, I just love this so much. I'm going to leave that. Okay, so we're going to dry this and then we'll wet distress this. And what time is it? It is 12:55. Lord have mercy for Jesus. I say it's going to be a quick one, but we'll say it's almost quick. I should change it to like start to finish crafts instead of quick crafts. But it's too late now. So we're going to call it quick crafts. If you guys love like rusty, grungy patina, I do have a course. A few years ago, I did a class, and my goal was to teach how to do like a rusty patina. Do I have a piece here? Oh, that one's not done. Um, but I ended up teaching like all kinds of things about using texture. And so I changed the name of the class to a texture master class. So like if you love texture and you're looking for ways to be able to create that in whether it's your furniture or um, your home decor, I do have a course, and you guys can find all of my courses at roycycledacademy.com. I have my decoupage masterclass is there. Actually, it's decoupage with confidence course is the name of the course. And then crafting with color, that's another class if you want to learn how to like mix your own paint colors. If you take the decoupage with confidence course, I do spend a significant amount of time teaching you how to mix your own colors, just because that's such a big part of being able to blend your decoupage. And so if you're interested in both like learning decoupage and learning how to mix your colors, that's like a good 2-for-1. The decoupage with confidence course. And in the beginning of the course, I absolutely go over like how to get a wrinkle-free decoupage finish, and we talk about all those things. But we also explore other things that you can do with your decoupage tissue paper aside from what we normally see of just gluing it on a surface. And so if you are interested in that course, you can find it at roycycledacademy.com. And one thing I forgot to mention, I showed the QR code earlier for the retreat, but if you're on Facebook, you can put hashtag retreat in the comments and you'll get a message with the link so you can find out more information as well. This is our last can in our stack. I'm legitimately going to put this in my living room. So it probably will not make it to whatnot. I'm sorry, you guys. And it's going to be a giant riser for something. I don't know what yet, but probably my mannequin head, because the hat boxes are kind of generic. So I'll probably replace them with these cans and then put my mannequin head on top of there. I sold the mannequin head at a whatnot auction that we had on Friday night. I forgot who bought it, but I'm excited to see what they do with it. I spray paint mine, and they've been different colors at different times. I spray painted them multiple times because I think they're sculptural. They're beautiful. Art is interesting because it exists everywhere, and even things that are seen as being um, like practical or useful can still be beautiful and artistic, and usually are. Okay, I think we are as dry as we're gonna get right now. So I'm gonna start off with a brush and just encourage anything that's like chipping readily to finish chipping. And so I have, look at those yummy chips that have come off. And we also want to do some wet distressing today. So I'm just going to wet my towel and wipe it anywhere where I imagine there would be, distress from use. And you see how when I wiped that, I wiped all the way back to that initial black color under there. So some places I'll just wipe back to um, the kind of yellowy color, and some places we will go all the way back to the black. And I want to have, let me see, some spots on top. And I'm rubbing softly because the milk paint lifts pretty quickly. And if you add a lot of pressure, you get to the bottom really fast. So I don't want that. So I'm really being soft and patient and just kind of letting the motion lift the paint off rather than me. And there's a lot of texture on this lid because the black paint was so was thicker. And so I'm actually able to just lift off of the high points on the top of this lid. And see, that's not rubbing off anymore. And rather than adding more pressure, I'm just going to add more water. And I think that it's going to be good enough. So I have areas where they're wiped all the way back to the original black, some where it's only wiped back just to that other layer. Um, and I love having like different results on the same piece. So I'm going to dry this again, and then we're going to wax this because remember, I really want this to be a darker black. And it gets darker with the wax, but if we look at yesterday's can, we can see that it's not really like dark. And then I did also, remember if you guys, I used a brush, and in this area you can see where I mixed in the top color, the rusty color with the black, and maybe that's why it's not as dark. But I just want to make sure it's going to be dark this time, so we're going to use a black wax. Now I don't want my yellow spots to absorb the black really quickly. So I am going to use some clear wax, but I'm only going to use it over the yellow, not over the other colors. So hopefully we can kind of maintain. Um, okay. That was going to chip anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and just. So when we did our wax for the last couple of days, I did clear wax over the whole thing first, and then I went in with a darker wax because I wanted to control how dark my piece got. For today's purpose, I really do want my piece to get darker. Like that's my goal. And so I'm using a wax that's an ebony color versus it being brown. And I probably should have grabbed another wax brush. I'm going to sacrifice one of my brushes. It's fine. That's going to be too scratchy. Okay. So I'm going to sacrifice. These brushes are just some, you know. And so this wax, because it's black, it's going to result in a much darker um, finish. And ultimately that black wax is going to go over those brown areas, but I'm not going to put it directly on any of the areas. And the wax helps to color the milk paint, and it's also going to seal the milk paint. We're going to buff this out, and the take actually any top coat that you use, almost any, takes a full 30 days before it's fully set. So other than like if you have like a 1 hour enamel that is like specifically made to cure faster, most top coats do take a full 30 days. So if you're someone who is painting furniture to sell and maybe you're new, you may want to hold on to your piece for at least a couple of weeks before you deliver it to your customer. Okay, so using a lint-free cloth, because you don't want to get lint caught up in your wax because it will stick. Um, you use that to just buff that wax out and take off any extra wax. I feel like I actually need some more. When you open your can of wax, there can be like the liquid on top. And I feel like I used that some of that and it just absorbed into the paint, which is what we want, but we also want to have a layer over the top as well. That feels better. It was still dragging quite a bit. So when you go to buff your wax, you can feel it. If your towel is dragging across the top, then you probably want to add a little bit more wax and then buff that out. And you guys know that the more you buff, the shinier it'll get. And I actually think, let's buff this one out. I think that might be cool to have this be kind of shiny. Not really shiny, but kind of, sort of. And again, whenever I'm working on a project, I'm thinking about the diversity of the finishes, diversity in color. If it's a complex project like this one, right? We have multiples. I went all the way back to that green. Dang it. Diversity of finish, of color, of texture, of pattern. You want it to all go together, but you also want it to complement each other and not necessarily match perfectly. And I think that that is when you see really good design, is when you're able to accomplish that. And again, I'm not pushing super hard on this. Um, I'm just pulling my bow over softly. And then as I get closer and closer to the state where I'm able to start like buffing it, you'll see it happen. It starts getting shiny. The drag on your towel is less. It goes over it smoother. Um, and then you're able to start like really buffing that wax to get that sheen. And you guys see that? See how it's shiny? So this one I buffed. Yesterday's, I just removed the extra wax. So there isn't any sheen at all. But the more you buff it, the shinier it gets. So if I keep buffing this, this will get more and more shiny. But I think this is perfect. You see where you have a little bit of the original can peeking through right there. For some reason, the spray paint picked up. So I'm just going to drop like, because I don't want that. So I'm going to drop some paint in there and see if I can wax that. I was talking to a friend right before our live today, and we were talking about how a lot of times when you guys watch us making things, there's a perception that we never make mistakes or that everything always works out, and that it is so far from the truth. We are figuring it out just like you guys are. The only difference is our experience, right? So we've had enough experience that we've worked through a lot of the things that may frustrate you guys. But like that, that was not intended for that original can to show through there. And so I'm going to try to fix that. I don't know if it worked. I'm going to use that loose stuff on the top of my wax, and with an intention that it'll run all through that. And help to get that milk paint to really set right there. And then we'll see if we can buff that out. It's still going to come back up. It's not going to work. It's probably because there was already wax there, but I'm going to leave it alone. It's fine. I'm going to have a little white spot on my lid. It's going to bother me. I'll probably go in later with some chalk paint or something, but we'll see. But this is the lid. So cool, right? I love it. It looks so wonderfully grungy. And when somebody had put on the comments that she collects tins, and I actually do collect tins as well. And I was asking my assistant if he would burn some cans for me because they weren't like interesting. The shapes were interesting, but the artwork was fairly modern and it wasn't really interesting. And when I asked him to do that, this is the look that I wanted. But like I can get this look without having to burn my cans. I can just use my milk paint and get something similar. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and stop playing with it. It's not shiny in here. I don't know. That's bothering me. I think I want that to be shiny. So I'm going to go in with some more wax and then buff that out. But you guys see how the black wax made my can like way darker. And I didn't put clear coat first because I wanted it to absorb the dark wax. And if you guys are enjoying today's live, if you would like to come and like hang out where we do a lot more chit chatting, my husband and I are live every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I still craft and we make projects, but we actually read the comments. And there's a lot more chit chatting and hanging out that's going on. So you are welcome to join us live on Sunday nights for that. See that shininess? I just wanted to get a little bit more of that on there. It looks like old leather, right? I'm really loving this. And so let me get rid of our paint chips before they ruin my decoupage. I'm going to put them under my mat for right now, and I'll come back and deal with that later. So I'm going to make sure this is dry, and then we're going to trim it. I'm not going to trim the bottom right now. The thing about this bottom right here, you have like two planes that are meeting. And in that little space right there, that moisture just lives there for so long. And sometimes when you go in with your razor blade to try to trim it, the reason that it's tearing is because there's still moisture in there. And it's raining here today too, so we have a lot more humidity than I'm used to. So I'm not going to trim this bottom piece. I'm going to wait until I am confident that this is completely dry, but we'll be okay to trim the top. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of my heat gun and make sure it's dry, and then we'll just sand off this top bit. And the same with these areas around here. I'm going to have to wait until they're completely dry to go in and trim them with a razor blade. But I do want to show you guys what I'm going to do, because I'm not even going to go in and try to fix that with paint. Since we have our black wax out, we'll just use that. What time is it? It's 1:16. This is the smallest pan. How is it that it's the one that took the longest? I am so excited. We have our first call of the year with my Roycycled Besties membership. And we are going to be resurrecting old papers so that you can use them to create art with in your collages, or if you want to paint directly on them for your own art. But look at, isn't that just so pretty? And then for these areas right here, I'm just going to go in. I'm thinking, let me put another layer of varnish on here just for like, to make sure that my can is going to be like durable over time. And because I want to put wax on there. So I want to go over it really quickly. Oh, that's the brush that's jacked up. I don't want to use that one. Wait, excuse me. So I'm going to do another coat of the varnish just really quickly. And then I want to go over this with my wax. And you guys notice the mat that I'm using here. I love this mat so much. It comes in a roll. Like you get a whole roll of this mat. And I have yet to find anything that sticks to it. I love it so much. And even though I have like all this product on here, I can take it in the house and wash it. And I can get it clean. And I use this mat for so many different things. Oh man, I guess it's fine. I didn't mean to decoupage that lip down, but it's done. So, emo, it'll be fine. So I'm going to put another coat on there, and then I'm going to go over this really quickly and dry it. And then we're going to put some wax. See how I have white showing up here? I have white showing around the can. We're going to use our wax to go in and kind of camouflage those areas. And then I'm going to leave that bottom lip, but I will ultimately go in and probably paint that bottom lip right there, because it's still going to be white because the can was white. My knee is killing me. This rain. I remember I used to listen to like my grandparents and their friends talk about their joints hurting because it was going to rain. And I just thought they were crazy. But now I know. But what a blessing to be able to live old enough to know those things, right? I'm going to do a little bit of heat on the inside to try to make sure we're dry before I start waxing. And you guys will notice I sealed this with a top coat, and I'm going to go over it with the wax. I remember when I first started painting furniture and everyone was waxing their furniture, and there was a conversation about the wax was really durable, but that you may have to re-wax in the future. And that never like set well with me, the idea that I would sell a piece of furniture to someone and that they may have to re-wax it sometime in the future. So I wouldn't use wax, but then I realized I can top coat my paint first, like top coat it so that the paint itself is protected and it's fine. And then I can just use the wax over that. So that way I get the best of both worlds, right? I get the durability of the top coat, but I also get that beautiful luminosity that you get with wax that's just really hard, whoops, to replicate with anything else. Okay, when you're doing your can, don't put your can in one spot for too long and chit chat, because then your paper will bubble. That's what I just did because I held it in that one spot too long. Can you guys see that? Let me see. And so my paper bubbled right there. And we'll see if it goes down. I don't know, but it's fine. So I'm going to take my black wax though, and I'm just going to go right here. And so it's not going to fix it. You're still going to be able to see it, but it's not going to look like a bright white. It's just going to look more integrated into the can than it did when it was a bright white. And you can do this with glaze too. So if you're not comfortable with wax, you can get the same look with a glaze that you can with the wax. And I think I want to wax the whole can. Should I wax the whole thing? I think it looks too new. Let's add a little. But for this one, I do want to do clear wax first so that it just doesn't turn black right away. My husband comes home for lunch, and he gets home and leaves before I make it back in the house from my quick lives. So I'm going to go over with the clear wax first. And because that's sealed, I didn't need a lot of wax, right? There's nothing absorbing the wax. It's just kind of going over the top. Make sure the lid is on there good. And then I'm going to go in. I really need to wash my wax brush, y'all. I'm pitiful. And then I'm going to go in and add the black wax over the clear. Now, if I was super concerned about the can not getting too dark, I would buff out the clear wax first. But I think we're safe because I've already sealed this paper. It's raining pretty good out there. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, you're probably like, oh yeah, Royce, rain. What's the big deal? But I'm in the Southwest. I'm in the desert. We get excited about rain. And I'm going to buff that extra wax off. Oh, I just love that so much. Now, so my paper doesn't look like bright and new because everything else in our stack is pretty weathered. So we want them to look like they go together, right? Now, if you're worried about your wrinkles showing, you may want to have second thoughts about waxing because it's going to settle into any kind of texture or imperfections, which I think is fabulous, but you may not. And that is our 10 for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. I am super excited about this project. I'm gonna have to figure out something. You guys drop it in the comments. Give me some ideas because this looks brand new, right? And the rest of it looks like really old. So what can I do to this part so that it looks more consistent with the rest of the can. You guys give me some ideas and let me know. But that's our tin for today, and this will go on the top of our stack. Again, if you're popping on late, we are making kind of like a faux hot box stack. And so these are our first two tins. And so this one will be the last tin. I think it will go beautifully on the top of that stack. I will take a picture and post it later. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys see that when we're working together, that even when I have a plan, that I'm kind of pivoting and playing and experimenting. And it's in that experimentation is where you have your discoveries. So when you guys are creating throughout your days, I want you guys to remember that where experimentation goes, creativity follows. I want to encourage you to play, to experiment, to test your limits, to test the limits of your products and see what you can do and what they can do. And you'll be amazed at what you discover. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I'll see you here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Until then, you guys have a blessed day. Bye.